What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 216, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're talking all about that tasty Xbox developer underscore direct, as is the full name.
Yes.
Yes. And we also have a preview of Assassin's Creed Shadows from my co-host, JamPackSam. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? We were just talking before the show. I'm tired. This has been Super Bowl week number 1 of like the content creation craziness of the spring because we have a lot of games coming out. And I did the Assassin's Creed Shadows preview. I've done a couple of other things this week. I've got some deals, like some things coming up, events and whatnot. So I'm excited, but it's just like up at 4 to record and edit, going to bed at like 10 because I want to not die, and it's just like the constant flow of the world. But I'm good. I'm excited to dig into the developer direct, talk about Shadows. We got good stuff on the roster.
Absolutely. But don't you get a little like sense of like satisfaction? Like, does it feel good even though you're like exhausted? You're like, oh, I'm gonna go die now. But like when I click like schedule, especially for it's like an embargo, I'm like, I just feel accomplished. I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean I think that, and we could do a whole post show on this one time, but it's like that's the beauty of being in the content space is like, and in the gaming world really, because when you finish something, whether it's like you put a daily video out or you've done a review where you've got your thoughts finally compiled after a couple of weeks or a couple of days of playing something, it is very like, I finally made it. And then you have that shot and chaser of you scheduled a video before work and then you're sitting at work in a meeting and I'm like, oh God, what was that embargo? And then I have to like run back and check to make sure that I'm not breaking embargo. Because that happened to me today because I'm like 9 a.m. Pacific time. Was it Eastern time? Was it Central time?
No,
so I had to go back and like double check.
What the worst is when they send what UTC or whatever it is, like and I'm just like, bro, now you making me go to my computer, making me look up top, like just send me these, just send me all of them in like a row. All right.
It would be nice. I need the classic global pre-launch map of like the US to like the global where you've got the lines. That's what I need for the embargo dates because I am a simpleton. But hey, I didn't get arrested. We didn't do anything legal. We're good to go.
That's right. Well, everyone, let's jump into the show proper. We were off last week. Apologies, everyone. I was feeling under the weather. I keep getting sick. You know what it is? I blame the people at work because I have to share. I don't have my own desk. I have to share a desk. So like when I'm not there, someone else is using it.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
They're all gross. I guarantee they're all gross. They're not washing their hands. They're not wiping it down. They're sneezing all over it. So I go in and then I'm getting sick,
Yeah. I work with a whole bunch of people that are like, they're coming in and they have kids and stuff. And then it's like, people walk in and they ask like, hey, how you feeling? And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? You feeling like were you about to die last week? What do you mean? Yeah,
I knew it was gonna happen because a guy I work with came in wearing a mask. And I was like, oh Lord, help me get through this day. Let's
wearing a mask. They're like, hey, I'm positive for COVID, but I don't want to say anything. Like that's my connection to the mask.
We don't have that pay anymore, so I have to come in, my sick time.
Yeah, I was sitting next to somebody today and they were like, got a tickle in my throat. And I like visually moved away. Like I like scooched to the right. I'm not going to mess with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we're going to get the show proper. So again, apologies for last week, but we're back. Hopefully no more interruptions. This is Project XTalk. We're live every Thursday right here on youtube.com/Save the Game Media. If you can't catch us live, post every Friday morning on your favorite audio platform of choice. We're over there. If you could leave us that 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, it helps us in the algorithm so much. If you want to support us even further than that, get early audio access and exclusive bonus content, head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current Patreon supporters. So thank you to Fabulous Brianna, Rick Davis, Chad, Ellery Woods Parker III, Silkenit, Lee Navarro, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Dave Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, Marcus O'Neill, happy birthday, Marcus, by the way, Brendan Myers, Cypher Primus, Nikolai at Night, Lindsay, Brianna's mom, and Brianna's brother. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we do have this month's exclusive content up already. It is our Fantasy Critic Draft. Sam, you were busy. Don't worry. I held it down for us. Our team is stacked.
As expected, as expected. Yeah, I was not able to make it last weekend, but I knew we were in good hands. So I'm excited to dominate this year, unlike last year where I was very optimistic about games that I probably shouldn't have been that optimistic about. But we're rebuilding, like the Carolina Panthers. It's a rebuilding year every year, so we're back once again.
I don't get the I haven't watched football in a while.
Understandable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, football. Yeah, football. Yeah.
I was like, oh God. I asked my fiance, I was like, when's the Super Bowl? Because we always have to go to a Super Bowl party. And she's like,
Oh, yeah.
like February 6th or something. I was like, oh, that's in like 2 weeks. Jeez, like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like we're just there.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
All right. Well, we got his housekeeping out of the way. So why don't we jump into what we're playing before the crazy news? So, Sam, what have you been playing these last few weeks?
Yeah, mine's fast. So I've been super busy. I've had a lot of videos and stuff going on and trying to keep up with the flow of like, it feels like somebody pulled the gaming news lever and then like just the floodgates open. And then also coming off of stuff like Indiana Jones, I just kind of like feel like I'm in that rut of at the beginning of the year, I'm just kind of like playing random stuff. Like I was playing that game that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. What was it? Forgot the name of it already. You remember I was talking about wasn't great. Luke liked it. Forget what it was. Anyways, it was that Souls like
so many things.
It was on that. It was that Souls like that was on Game Pass. That
a Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn.
Yeah, so I finished Flintlock. Clearly not an impactful game for me in the long run if I'm over here struggling to remember the name. But I've been in that like in between stage. So I was like, I want to get an accomplishment. I want to finish a game in my backlog. Yeah. And so I was looking on my shelf over here, my physical shelf, and I saw my copy of Gotham Knights. Okay. So in the year of our Lord 2025, I boot up Gotham Knights. All right. I'm in there getting back into Gotham Knights. Kevin, the longer I play this game, the less I like it. Okay. I always put a joke in our show notes. And so of course I said, what have you been playing? Assassin's Creed Shadows. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then I said Gotham Knights. Ooh. I don't know what it is about this game, but it's just like it is Temu Arkham Knight. It is we have Arkham Asylum at home. Like it's just not doing it for me. And I hate it because out of the 8 chapters that are in the game, I'm on like chapter 7.4, but I just don't want to play it. And then like Ninja Gaiden dropped on Game Pass today, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play Ninja Gaiden Black or Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. So I think I'm going to drop Gotham Knights. I think I might be done with it.
So close though.
I might grind it out. I'm at a point right now for anybody that's played it. It's not spoilers or anything. And if you haven't played Gotham Knights by now, you're probably not going to play it. But there are 3 man bats that I have to go kill around Gotham. And they're just like the most miserable button mashing, dodging boss fights. And they're like really fast and easy. But like, I just don't want to do it. But maybe I'll hit it this weekend. Maybe we'll wrap it up. But I do want to get it done so I can at least roll credits because I'm so far in. But man, it's just not the game for me.
So fun fact. I have played Gotham Knights, and I have beat Gotham Knights.
How was it for you?
I played it co-op with my brother. I actually won it from XEP. Luke did a giveaway, and I won it. So I played it. We played the entire game co-op. It felt like a live service game, but then at the last second they were like, all right, we're not going to do the live service stuff.
100%.
The currencies can stay. We don't know what they're there for, but like just have them in the game. And I'm like, okay. We had some glitches towards the end of the game. Like I'm pretty sure he had to redo the last level on his own because like he got stuck in a black screen as the end credit scene was going. And
that sucks.
The whole thing. Overall, like it's more fun in co-op. I'm gonna tell you that. Like, just you each choosing a member of the Bat family. Like, I like Nightwing. He's my favorite member of the Bat family. So, like, I have that fandom going on, and he was Batgirl. So it was a whole thing. Like, I think from that aspect, I liked it. In terms of gameplay, it's pretty mediocre, like at best, right?
I mean, it's like the definition of fine for me, and it's funny you should mention co-op. So obviously, like I don't really play with people. I'm normally a single player guy. So I was just going through. I've been Nightwing maining the whole thing just because that's the closest for Batman that I feel like I can get to. All of a sudden, randomly, a Deathstroke joins my game. I didn't invite them. It was like a jump in kind of play. So I guess they were doing like a quick join of a mission or something. So anyways, me and this random dude that is also playing Gotham Knights in the middle of 2025, we started grinding a little bit. So Yeah, I'm playing that. I might wrap it up, and then that kind of brought me into Assassin's Creed Shadows earlier this week, where I played a couple of hours of that, and then I've been editing and recording and writing
Mhm.
ever since then. So hopefully this weekend I can kind of get back to playing different games. Maybe finishing Gotham Knights, probably not, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Assassin's Creed Shadows after the developer direct. But I have been playing quite a few games actually. So let's I'll save the one because I'll chat about briefly when we get into the developer direct. So I played Gris. I'm not sure how to say it. You know, it's
Greece.
the
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Yes, it's the studio that made Neva, their game that just came out. I had never
Hmm.
played this one, so I was like, all right, I'll hop into this. It was on PS Plus. I thought I owned it somewhere. I couldn't find it. I was like, I swear I had this in one of my 9,000 PC launchers. I beat it. Took me about 2 hours. It's a fine like puzzle platformer. There's no dialogue or like no words in the whole game. It's more just visual, like color. And I walked away from it going like, I think this is one of those like artsy games that like maybe I just didn't get because like I
Hmm.
hear people saying like, oh, it's so emotional. It really like it brought me to tears, and I'm like, what are you crying at? The colors? Like I genuinely it was lost on me. I think like it controlled well enough. It was all 2 hours, so like I said, not a big investment of my time. But man, I don't know what the hubbubaloo about this game is.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's always in the back of my mind to go back and play because it's like one of the indies that everybody raves about. So 2 hours, hold on now, like you keep going. You don't have to say much more. I'm in for 2 hours because that's definitely my kind of time frame. But I'll get to it I'll get around to it at some point. But I also haven't played it, so I'm interested to hear that you are not getting it. That's all right.
Yeah, I've wounded Silk in it. I'm
I
sorry.
I
I'm
know.
sorry. Maybe Neva will resonate with me more. Like whenever that comes to PS Plus or Game Pass, like I'll try it. I will try it because I wanna know what everyone sees in these games. But that didn't do it for me, unfortunately.
I know we don't have it in the show notes, but did you hear that Celeste game, like the
Dude,
next game
don't
from?
oh my god, I was genuinely, like, emotionally distraught yesterday when, because so we have the updates we have the Fantasy Critic channel in our
Yeah.
Discord, and I have the bot that automatically updates it. So it just said, "Earthblade changed from 2025 to canceled," and I go, "Excuse me? Like, what are you talking about?" So then I go look for it, and I find the blog update about, like, all the turmoil they've had over the last few years, and they've canceled Earthblade, and I very distraught because like Celeste is genuinely one of my favorite games of all time. Like probably my favorite 2D platformer of all time for sure.
Yeah,
But
it's a good
like
one.
I think it's a phenomenal story. So I was super looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty emotionally distraught.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Hollow Knight Silk Song's next. I'm just calling it.
No, we need that for fantasy though.
I was just saying that for soaking it. That was literally just for soaking it.
Okay, the main game I played though was Tales of Grace's F Remastered, and this is
Every
a
time I check Discord, every single time I see you play Tales of whatever it is, like, dude, is it just running idle? Like, is he
no,
always
no,
playing?
I was always so I did the New Zealand trick to start playing it on Thursday instead of Friday, and then I put
Mm.
like 6 hours into it because it was one of those days where I'm like, I got nothing to do, and I was
Oh
also
yeah,
I was sick all weekend, so I'm like, I got nothing to do
very solid.
except play Tales of Grace's F, which I've heard mixed things about this from the Tales community, but I really liked this game. I've beaten it. I've done all the chapters. I'm not doing the post game stuff because it's hell on earth. But yeah, no, it gets really difficult at the end. There's some really hard boss fights those last two chapters. But I like the story, love the characters. I think this is a great remaster because I was looking at videos of what did it look like on the Wii versus now, and oh, it's had a glow up for sure. Like for everything from the camera angles to the character models, like everything looks better. The gameplay is fun. It's an action RPG, so a lot of stringing combos, and Tales games, they're designed to play like fighting games essentially,
Hmm.
where you do strings of moves into other moves, and that's what really appeals to me. So I think this one does it really well. A little complicated at first because they give you two types of attacks, but once you figure out the systems, man, really awesome. Some people will certainly say maybe they overdo the power of friendship part of the story because everything seems to come down to friendship. But
Yeah.
if you're cool with that, really good game here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Obviously, not my kind of thing, but more power to you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it and you had some good time to play this weekend. There is a there's a silver lining around being sick and just being kind of laid up to where I haven't been sick in years, knock on wood. Like I'm just not somebody that I have a really good immune system. But back in the day, good old sick weekend or snow weekend, back whenever it snows regularly, which we've been getting a little bit. But it was always a good time back in the day.
Yeah, I think right when the pandemic started, like the first time I got the sickness, I played through the entire Crash trilogy. I was just like, it was like I'm dying anyway. I'm gonna play Crash Bandicoot,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I have good memories of being a kid and getting sick, and Sly Cooper was my the game that I remember playing. I was like sick, kind of like stuffy nose, Kleenex kind of situation, and then I was just playing Sly Cooper. That was a good time.
Oh, I hate the my nose is still recovering, but it's one of those things like, oh, so congested, so
Oh
congested.
yeah, is the season.
But that's mainly what I've been playing. So why don't we jump into the news for this week? And we're starting off with the big one, obviously. Xbox held their annual developer underscore direct today, a few hours ago. And before we get into the actual breakdown of the games, I want to know, what are your general thoughts, Sam? You watched it? Good show, bad show?
So I did watch it. I didn't watch it as things were happening, and I didn't really see any of the social media reaction to it. But I always have a tradition of like I go to the gym and I throw it on my iPhone and I'll do the elliptical while I watch and see what everything's going on, and then I do like there's something I don't really care about 1.25 times speed. We kind of like we skip around a little bit. But I was pretty impressed with what they delivered. I think that I love the format. I think this format was really, really well done. Where obviously, much like the other developer directs, it's all about the developers, them telling their stories. No Phil being like, "We have so many exciting things this year." It's just like, especially with Expedition 33, I think that's like the prime example of, hey, I started making this. I threw the file over to this guy. He started working on it. We built the team out. Like it was a really nice grassroots story. Id with their giant kind of selfie frame of all of the hundreds of people that are working on Doom. So I really was impressed with everything overall. And I love the fact that they started with the surprise early. Like I love that was the thing right out of the gate to really drive that excitement. So I was pretty impressed with it. I would give it an A overall if we had to rate it right off the bat. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's an A for sure for me. I couldn't have asked for much more. Obviously, like we'll talk about the mystery game. It wasn't wasn't what would have got the biggest pop for me, obviously, but like what it was fantastic. Still super excited. I love the deep dives. I love hearing from the developers, as you mentioned, the Expedition 33 story. Like,
yeah,
laughing, like they goof around, like they're having fun. It just seems more personal, and that makes me like care more about the games, like because you understand, like, hey, this is why we're doing this with the gameplay or the music, or it just comes across so much better than a lot of like, oh, here's a trailer, which don't get me wrong, time and place for those types of things, but I
right.
do like that this format exists.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you said it well. There's a time and a place for like I love the Xbox events in the summer whenever they really just like, hey, it's Phil, hey, it's whatever, and then they just go into like straight gameplay. I think they've really gotten away from that old E3, which like the nostalgic dude in me. I love a good press conference. Give me Jack Trenton up on a PlayStation stage rambling about like the logistics of something, and then give me the trailer. Like that's just nostalgic for me. But I do love I do love the way that they've added this to their mix so that you can get those developers' voices. And I love the fact the Team Ninja was the one they went with because like it's not an internal studio. It's a game that looks great. It's a collaboration with Platinum, which is obviously super exciting for someone like me. Like I'm really coming off of like an action game kick kind of deal right now from last year. So I love the format that it's not all about Xbox. Notably, the blog post also calls out that a game is releasing also on PlayStation 5, which I think might have been Doom that had that call out, or I can't remember if it was Ninja Gaiden or which one it was.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, why don't we jump into it? Because I do have
yeah,
a note about the PlayStation 5 here. So I said Xbox started the developer direct off with their Mr. game, and we took a trip over to Japan with Team Ninja, who in collaboration with Platinum Games and Xbox Game Publishing is bringing you Ninja Gaiden 4, launching this fall. It's coming to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series consoles, PC, and PS5. Nice little PS5 logo on your Xbox showcase. It was right there on the splash screen. I was like, I don't know if we've ever seen them advertise
I don't
a
think we have.
PlayStation. Yeah, like we've seen. I know Outer Worlds had it, but that was Game Awards. Indie obviously had it, Gamescom, but I don't know if we've ever seen it at like a first party like announcement like that.
Yeah, I think there might have been some, maybe said verbally or something like that. But typically, I think we've all kind of gotten used to the Wario 64 tweets after the fact breaking down, like, oh, God, Ninja Gaiden 4, it's also going to be available XYZ. Like, there's kind of a post show recap, and that goes for PlayStation as well. But it's nice to see they're kind of like, again, democratizing these games in a way that it doesn't really matter where you play, you're probably going to be able to play them. Now, the exception there being South of Midnight, but still, a lot of the games here, I think 3 out of the 4 that were shown are going to be multi-plat, which I mean, I think that's good. You know, I think we're beyond the console war thing at this point, and you know, whatever you think about Xbox, like they're just good games that you can play wherever you want.
It's one of those things that, like, obviously Ninja Gaiden 4 was just announced, so like we hadn't been able to see a splash screen, but like we already knew Doom the Dark Ages coming to PS5. There's no point in hiding it. Like, you might as well let everyone
Yeah.
know, hey, you can buy it over here. Expedition 33, again, we already knew that was coming to PS5. Why try to hide it? Like, it does seem that they're getting more comfortable and like, hey, you can play it on Game Pass. They had that big thing at the beginning, like all these games are play anywhere, which I love to see. I hope they continue to stress that more and more. But like, it does seem they were very comfortable with, we're breaking down those barriers of when we do a showcase, it's only going to have our platforms. You got to go read a blog post for the PS5 or Switch or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that now that they have both of those elements in there, it kind of still gets the point across where they're not trying to swindle you into feeling like you need to buy an Xbox. You know, it's kind of like if they brought Call of Duty out on the stage during the main event and then they just put Xbox logos at the end of the Call of Duty section, then you feel like you have to go buy an Xbox, which some would say is good marketing. But now they have they're just kind of laying the cards out on the table and they're letting you choose. Where at the very beginning, you've got the disclaimer of like, hey, all of this is on Game Pass. All of this is play anywhere. You buy wherever you want. You get the best value here. If you don't want any of that, you can also play all these games wherever they're available whenever they launch. And I think that's good because it shows a respect, in my opinion, for the player of like, hey, we're not trying to fool you. We're not trying to market to you. We're trying to show you cool games. Come buy them, come play them, come enjoy them. And I like that approach better.
Absolutely. Well, let's actually talk about Ninja Gaiden 4 because we got a pretty big trailer, actually. They reveal you're going to play as 2 protagonists. Obviously, Rya Hayabusa is coming back. He's the Ninja Gaiden protagonist, but you're also going to play as, I think, Yokuma was the protagonist name. Kind of a futuristic looking ninja, had this cool face mask.
Next generation.
Yeah, next generation ninja. I was blown away, genuinely. Like, I like Platinum games. Their action combat has always resonated. I think the last Platinum game I actually played was Astral Chain, which I think is super underrated. And I would love if that could somehow get lifted from Switch, like Purgatory, to come over and like run on higher frame consoles. But man, everything they showed here, the executions, the movement, the wall running. There was one point where, I know this is in earlier games, but the wall jumping was so fast, so fluid. Like, everything here just really stunned me the way it looked. I am super excited.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped as well. And I've never actually played a Ninja Gaiden game, but I played like a little bit of one way back in the day, but I need to go back. I know a couple of them are on Game Pass. But I'm really, really impressed. And then of course we got Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which we'll talk about in a minute. But as far as 4 goes, I mean, obviously with it being Game Pass, it's a day one for me. But the more gameplay I watched of it during the reveal, the more that I'm like, okay, this is definitely a new version of Ninja Gaiden that I think is kind of catering to somebody like me that really enjoys that kind of gameplay. And then when Platinum is involved, I mean, come on, dude. Like, Platinum is just the kings of action games. Like, I love what they do. I agree. Astral Chain is one that I would love to see come to PC. I feel like that's an ideal Steam Deck or an ideal handheld kind of game. But yeah, I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah, this is one of those. So I like the older Ninja Gaiden games. Like, I've played Ninja Gaiden Black, the first one, tons of times. I've never beaten it because, man, that game is brutally difficult. And I get to there's like one section I get to, and then I'm like, all right, this is where I have to put it down because I can't get past it. But you can feel the age with those games. You can tell that they're older style games, right? Like, the camera doesn't feel as smooth, the movement's a little more clunky. This looked like it was bringing Ninja Gaiden to a modern age. Like, we're gonna have that fluid style of combat that I wouldn't say soul. It's not Souls combat because this is much more like this is a faster style game,
Yeah.
but you can tell just by looking at these trailers that that's what they're going for.
Yeah, it's just a modernized Ninja Gaiden that kind of takes it to the next level. And I mean, they said it repeatedly in the trailer. It's been 10 years since we've seen any kind of Ninja Gaiden, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think 10 years is what they said. And so, like, having that amount of time, stuff evolves very quickly. And I think the action scene in particular, there's been a lot of modernization that's come around that since stuff like the earlier Ninja Gaiden games, which ironically, Black is the one that I'm kind of like, I always tap out on too, because it's like playing an original Resident Evil where I'm like, I get it. I know why it's good, but I'm good. Like I don't want to wander off screen and just kind of like figure out where the next camera angle is coming from. Obviously, different situations, different issues with Black, but yeah, I'm glad they're modernizing it and making it kind of new for the next generation to keep that legend going.
Game Positive, shout out Eric in the chat, says Xbox cooks so hard they've been retroactively named as the winners of all 23 seasons of Hell's Kitchen.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, so Ninja Gaiden 4 coming this fall. No exact release date, but I'm excited for whenever it gets here. They did have something else, and we've already talked about it. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. This is a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2. It's available right now. It was shadow dropped after the show.
Very cool.
It's on Game Pass. It's on PS5. It's on PC. It's everywhere you want to play it. And I have played a little bit of it, only about 30 minutes or so, because I got home from work, had to do all the show and everything. But I still think the camera feels a little wonky. Like you can tell it's an older style game.
Yeah.
But has an easy mode. And I'm on that grind. I'm like, oh, easy mode. Let's go. I'm gonna be a ninja. It feels good to run on walls. The combat feels good. The blocking, like the animations look smooth. You can bump it up and play at 120 FPS.
Very nice.
Like, oh man, I think I found my game till Avowed comes out. I'm gonna be playing some Ninja Gaiden.
Very nice. Yeah, it's and so this is Unreal Engine 5, right? I saw that correctly in the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big bump. Is it only, I haven't looked into it at all. Is it only Series X and S, or is it also Xbox One?
No, I'm pretty sure it's a series consoles only in PS5.
Okay, that would make sense. Unreal Engine being, the thing they chose, but yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll probably also join you on that this weekend. But it's good to see the older games being brought back. 360 era stuff, I think, they hold up particularly well because the gameplay had kind of evolved a little bit. Now we have obviously evolved a lot since then, but it's not unplayable like a lot of. I say unplayable; it's a very loose term, but it's not difficult to play like early, like original Xbox games normally are. So good to see. Glad it's coming back.
Yeah, I do wonder because they have the first one now. They have the second one. I wonder if we get Ninja Gaiden 3 Black because they've already kind of have the Master Collection's on Game Pass, right? So if you've been in there, you see I think it's Sigma is the third one, which is kind of already like a new version of 3. So I wonder if they go back and like, hey, let's make a black version for this too.
Yeah, personally, I'm a big fan of Ninja Gaiden Ligma. I mean, that's my that's oh boy, yeah, they'll probably make one. I mean, it's the same thing as like, are we getting Resident Evil 5 remastered? You've done every other, like, yeah, I would assume, and then they're probably gonna stop there because we don't need 6. I don't know.
Did you see the ESRB rated Resident Evil 6 this week for Series X and S and PS5?
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if a port's coming or what, but
I would hope that, I mean, if you're going to do it, just remake it at that point. Like, I don't think you need to port Resident Evil 6 over, but it might hold up better than the other ones. I'd rather see just a full remake personally.
We're skipping 5. All right. We're going straight to 6.
I mean, I would rather see 5. 5 was like the one I remember playing a demo for 5 in a GameStop back in like 2006 on a PS3. Scared me to death, dude. That I don't know where it was set, but it had like it was that era where all the games were orange and set in South Africa.
Yeah,
and there was like,
pretty sure it is in Africa.
Yeah. So it's like this, like, I just have this definitive 360 PS3 era memory of Resident Evil 5. And I would love to go back and relive that.
All right. Well, next up, we went over to Compulsion for South of Midnight. You got a deep dive into the story. I think this is the most we've learned about the story, which I thought was pretty interesting. I'm not sold on the voice acting. Like that didn't really do much for me, but I think
Mhm.
like how they're introducing the mythical creatures, like they control the lands and you have to kind of like fight them in combat to free them from their, I forget what they were calling them, but some sort of like curse almost. I think the combat looks really good. Like the more I
Mhm.
see this game, the more impressed I am with it. It looks more fluid. I don't know if they had the stop motion turned off or what. Like it was on during the cutscenes, but I'm looking forward to it. We got a release date, April 8th, the day after my birthday. So thank you, Compulsion. A little birthday gift to me. Obviously, that's why you did it. But what do you think about South of Midnight?
I think that South of Midnight, if it lands well, is going to be this year's Hi-Fi Rush. Like, I don't want to compare games in that way, but it feels like with the $40 price tag, with the kind of thing they're delivering, where it does feel like it's very rooted in the characters and the story and the narrative. Not that Hi-Fi Rush was like deeply rooted in the narrative, but it has that same kind of like you were there for the friendship, you're there for the people you meet along the way. And I think Hi-Fi Rush had some of that DNA in there, but I think that like a game on this level coming from a team like Compulsion is good for Compulsion, because I don't know that they've really like nailed it with stuff like We Happy Few. And so I think that, I mean, based on what I'm seeing right now, it seems like this could be the best game Compulsion's ever made. And I know that's like a controversial statement for some hardcore Compulsion fans, but I think it stands.
I was gonna
That
say I
like,
don't think it's set. That's not setting the bar very high because I don't
yeah,
think their games have been very good.
I mean, I don't want to talk shit, but like, I've never been a big Compulsion fan across the board. Like, I respect what they've done, but I think this game is going to appeal to a wider audience because it's capturing me and my attention. And I think this will kind of put them on a map in a way that they might not have with stuff like We Happy Few. So I think it looks really good.
Yeah, and I'm glad again coming April, so we don't have to wait that long. Move over Switch 2. All right, nobody needs your direct in April. We got South of Midnight now. You know what I'm saying?
Can we talk about how the date formatting totally threw me
Yo, I
off?
thought it was February 4th. I was like, yes, and
Yeah, I
then
thought we were like, hey, this is what's happening because everything's leaking. We'll see you in a week and a half. And
yeah,
and no, it's coming out in April. So I was telling my fiance, I'm like, oh my God, there's a Switch 2 thing in the beginning of February. Bro, organize your numbers correctly, okay? Bring it to the American side.
dude, I was right there with you until I went online and saw everyone saying April. I'm like, wait, did I like do I have dyslexia? I went back and watched the trailer. I'm like, no, mine says two, and then they're like,
Yeah.
no, you're just looking at the wrong trailer. I'm like, all
Yep.
right.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, next up we went Expedition 33 from Sandfall Interactive. We got our a pretty good deep dive. We already talked about the way the studio came together, but man, if this game hits like I think is gonna hit, this might be my game of the year because I know you're not the turn-based guy, but the action combat that they're throwing into it, like the real-time elements, the character models, the character backstories, man, it's all just coming together so well. It looks stunning. The voice acting cast is stacked. April 24th, we got a release date. I don't know more to say except like this is maybe my most anticipated game of the year.
Yeah, it looks really interesting, and I think that, like I was saying earlier, I love the narrative of the team. Like, I love the fact that it's like a very grassroots thing. This dude had a dream; he wanted to make something. He recruited. He did like an Avengers thing where he got everybody he needed to make it. And so now they've got the backing of Xbox with Game Pass, of course, and then they've got this game coming out in a big way. So I'm really excited to see how this one lands. Like you said, I don't know if it's going to be a game for me. The more that I saw of the gameplay, the more that I'm like, I want to try it because it's on Game Pass and see if I like it. Because keep in mind the running joke or narrative or whatever. Like I didn't think I'd like Wolong, and then I got really into Wolong, and then it opened up a door for me to get it more into Souls like. So maybe this is the door for me to get more into games of this type. So I'll definitely explore. I'll poke around. I'll see what's going on there. The deep character customization kind of freaks me out a little bit. It freaks me
I
out a little
loved
bit.
it. So I was like, give me more. Show me them skill trees. Let me hear all about how you can give each them custom roles. He's like, oh, I play this character as a tank, but nobody else in the studio does. I'm like, that's what I live for.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. The whole thing of like we've got over 100 passives you can choose from. I'm like, oh my god, well, how do I get a good build? I don't mind the 20 skills though, because like coming off of Diablo, which is tame compared to I believe Path of Exile, which is like another world of like customization. Some would say it's so complicated you got to pay people to play for you, but like I'm glad that we're not there with Expedition 33. So I will give it a shot. I'm excited to see it, and I'm glad that the studio like it's included in the developer direct and gets the attention they deserve, because it really is a beautiful looking game, whether it's the kind of gameplay I jive with or not.
Yeah. Silken, it says your JRPG arc starts in April.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready to explore and try something new. Let me tell you, it's gonna be a short arc because Doom's coming in May, so I'll be out directly after that, ripping and tearing.
Why don't we talk about it? Doom: The Dark Ages. The only comment I wrote here was effing wow. Oh
Dude.
my God, does this game look so good? Like, I don't care about the story to do it all. The gameplay is what I'm here for. And are they delivering in spades? They're like, hey, this is what Doom's 2016 was about. This is what Doom Eternal was about. You know what Dark Age is about? Melee combat. We got they got a mace, they got electric gauntlets, they got this cool pairing with your sweet chainsaw shield, and I'm oh yes, May 15th cannot come fast enough. I'm so excited to just destroy everything.
Yeah, it's really good. And it was funny coming off of Expedition 33, because like he had this really deep, heartfelt, like, hey, we made this game. We are excited to see it. And then like they like do their thing, they run through it. And then it just goes into they're like, dun dun dun. And I'm like, I'm in the gym and I literally was like, oh shit, like this is happening right now.
You're like, gotta go faster.
Yeah, I literally, but the soundtrack already, like, yes, please inject it into my veins. The combat looks great. The gameplay looks awesome. The giant mechs look sick. The other thing,
cool was that?
Yeah, it's very, very good looking. And then you've got the dragon thing, not like you could fly around and have like these little modes and stuff. I also saw that the cutscenes are a bigger part. Like the narrative isn't buried in the codexes; it's more presented to you directly. Not that you had different cutscenes in the previous games, but it feels like it's a little bit more not narrative driven, but it's got a little bit more meat on the bone, so to speak. So I'm excited about that. The other thing I wanted to call out is Stephen Totillo put out an article talking about how they cut multiplayer to make single player better. And I cannot back that idea enough. Like, Doom's multiplayer was interesting as a concept, but we have so many live service multiplayer games that are just going to eat its lunch. By all means, take all of those resources that were going to go into a Doom game and just make a better Doom game. If anything, whoever out there is working on Quake right now, just make another Quake Champions or whatever the next Quake thing is, and just make that your Doom multiplayer game, because it did not need one. So full on single player, great looking combat. I'm excited to see what the DLC is like, because they really left it open-ended where they're like, you'll visit different worlds, different realms, because it doesn't have to make sense. You're the Doom Slayer. Go rip and tear wherever you want. You can do it. Go anywhere. Yeah, I'm pumped. Easily my most anticipated game of the year. Top of the list, shot up. Like, this is just me through and through. This is the game that I've been wanting to play for a long time.
I do also like how they're trying to get more people that maybe aren't Doom fans involved in the game with the difficulty customization sliders they got, so you can like change the game speed, things to make it. Some people might say Doom is a little too fast. I personally didn't feel that way when I was playing Doom Eternal, but I'm sure there are people out there that do feel overwhelmed, because it is one of those like, I'm spinning around, switching guns, like jumping from area to area, trying to get ammo, shields, whatever. Like, that's how Doom is, though, but that might not be everyone's cup of tea. So I'm glad to see that they're adding like those kind of features to get more people in the door.
Yeah, definitely. I think that coming off of Doom Eternal, because I replayed the year one, year two, or the year one pass, the whatever they were called, the gods. I forget what the expansion was for Eternal. Yeah, but I played that last summer, and it is very fast. I talked about it. It's almost like you get into a flow, like it's a flow state kind of thing with Eternal, where you're like meleeing, shooting, getting, you're doing all these different things. I think this is really interesting. There was one line, and I forget exactly what it was, but it was like Doom 2016 was ripping and tearing, Doom Eternal was like jumping and smashing, and then this is standing your ground, or there was like a trifecta of that kind of thing. And I'm gonna have to go back and pull that quote, but I love that, because it shows different approaches for Doom that are like different flavors of the same good thing. It's like Taco Bell, where it's the same ingredients but like organized differently to taste slightly different. That's what I love in Doom, is that you've still got that great, like, bean burrito center there. Like, I love that. Still going on the Taco Bell comparison.
Yeah.
But like it's all really good. So I'm excited about it. Easily my most anticipated. I'm pumped for it. Shout out to Nissa, by the way. I know Luke over at XCP, he dropped an interview with John Romero, which is like, I mean, you literally can't time a better time to drop an interview with the father of Doom, if you will. And also he dropped an Assassin's Creed preview too. So like, I mean, you've been busy, bud. You've been really doing a whole lot. So shout out to you for grinding. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone go check out Luke's stuff. Really awesome work over there. I can't wait to I haven't listened yet, so but it's queued up for the work tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? All right. One question we have about the direct from Sam Heaney. He wrote in, says, whether it makes an appearance at the direct or not, do we expect Xbox to ramp up proper marketing for Avowed in the last couple of weeks before release? And it is funny that he asked this question because as soon as the direct was over, I see Aaron Greenberg start tweeting. He's like, thanks for tuning in the direct. And it's like, here's Avowed's coming in a few weeks. And I was like, okay. So they still know Avowed's coming, but I do feel it's been kind of under the radar.
Right. Yeah, it has definitely been flying under the radar. I think that you are getting close to the time where you need to, like, if you're going to do it. Like, it's time to flip the marketing switch. I think after today, after the direct is over and done with, now is when you can really start pushing what's immediate, and Avowed is the next big immediate thing. I am curious how much they push it. I do believe that over the next couple of weeks, though, you'll definitely start to see more of it in a pretty big way. So I'm excited about it. I'm definitely going to obviously play it on day one and give my thoughts on it and whatnot. But yeah, I do think they start pumping it up very, very soon.
Yeah, it's got to be. I know I know the grifters out there on Twitter are saying Xbox isn't marketing it because of some people at the studio and their beliefs, but like, y'all need to chill. All right. I don't know if you probably didn't see this because you are not on the god awful app led by the Roman Sloop man.
I'm dabbling again.
Oh god.
I'm peering in and it's like opening the door, seeing it on fire, and then I close it again.
There was a rumor going around and it was like Avowed is being delayed. It is like rumor comes from king of the anti everything that's good in this world. And I was like, how are we using him as a credible delay? Like, what's going on? All right.
Yeah, it's the state of things, man. It's crazy out there. But I've been enjoying Blue Sky and Threads. Not a whole lot of negativity over there from what I see. So
that's right. Well, speaking of no negativity, although I don't know, I haven't actually listened to your preview yet. Why don't we jump into Assassin's Creed Shadows? Because you got to play it.
I did.
A video up on your channel for everyone that wants to go check that out afterwards. But I want to know, how are you feeling about Assassin's Creed Shadows?
So, like you said, I put up a big preview, and I've been thinking a lot about it over the past couple of days because I had my preview session on Tuesday. The embargo lifted today, Thursday at noon. So I kind of had to do a quick turnaround, like, okay, play it. What do you think? Put the video together and get it out. And so I'm like, it is a game that did not hit the expectation that I had for it. And I'm not saying it didn't hit my expectations. I'm saying it's not the game that I thought that it would be. And so I'll kind of pause there. Do you want to have any leading questions, or do you just want me to go into what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a little curious what you mean by that. Like, I can interpret it two ways. One, like it's not a traditional Assassin's Creed game.
Yes.
And then the other way is more negative, where you're like, ooh, they're not very good.
No, so
I'm leaning towards one.
Yeah, so it's not negative, but it's a very different type of Assassin's Creed. It clearly still has the DNA in there. Like, you can see where they've built it on the back of the other RPG Assassin's Creed games that have come before it. But what took me by surprise primarily is the true difference between Yasuke and Naoe. Now, starting off the story, their stories intertwine in a very good way. Like, the initial narrative in the prologue that kicks everything off, I won't get into it, obviously, with spoilers and whatnot, but they make it feel very natural. Like, you bring these two very different people together and you send them off on their journey. And so it's very well done based on what we were shown. So I'm excited about that element. And we've heard that you've got different approaches for the combat and different play styles, but we heard that with Jacob and Evie Fry a little bit back with Assassin's Creed Syndicate as well, where like you had the brother-sister combo. They have different kinds of, like, it was a little bit different, but not really. You were effectively just switching back and forth. This time around, you literally have two different builds pretty much, where you've got the heavy build and the light build is kind of how I would classify Yasuke and Naue. And so you've got within that deep RPG customization of like picking your armor, picking your weapons, different types of weapons, different skills and builds you can do from there. But it's a very, very deep customization system. Not super, super deep, but it's like deep enough to be satisfying for people. But the combat for me, like if you're playing as Yasuke, you can take more hits, you can deal more damage. If you're playing as Naue, you're more light, and it really leans into the assassin stuff. Like you've got to sneak around if you're Naue. If you do get caught, you've either got to be really good at parrying and dodging and like really, really an expert at combat. Even then, you probably won't survive, so you got to bail. So it's not like, oh, you're trapped, you're caught in combat, you better fight your way out. Like it's literally like a oh god moment. I'm gonna die. And I died, I think 10 times in my session, you know, which is a lot for a couple of hours of Assassin's Creed, at least in my experience. So in that way, it didn't hit the expectation that I had for it going in, because I thought this would be Valhalla in Japan. Like that's kind of what I had expected it to be. Instead, this is a game that I think the combat especially is going to be much more methodical. You've got to take your time with it. You've got to like really be intentional with your swings and the way that you approach each individual engagement. And then they've also kind of taken the onus off of the going up and like surveying the land and doing your leap of faith to unlock points on the map, which they've talked about before as well. But it really does kind of guide you to explore more. And so you've got like undiscovered locations that you can poke out and put on your radar, and then you can go to them and see what's going on over there. So very open-ended, both in terms of the combat and the way you want to approach stuff, and then also with the exploration and the world design. So I thought those were two things that are interesting, and I'm curious how longtime fans react to it. I think that's where I'm at right now, because it's good so far from what I played. I'm curious how other people react to the changes they've made to make it feel unique compared to past games. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy. I have played, I think, Unity or Brotherhood, wherever the multiplayer one was. I played a little bit of that, and that's really the extent of my Assassin's Creed knowledge here. My brother and my friend, huge fans. They love the series. So I gotta know, and I don't know if they've covered this in videos because I haven't been keeping up with the coverage, but can you play as like just one of the characters? Are you forced? Okay, so you're not forced into you like switching between them to complete certain missions.
So it's not a direct force in the way that you're thinking it is. So it's not like you have to be like Yasuke to finish something. That I saw in my 3 missions that I played, there was never a forced choice to like go with somebody because the other person can't literally do it. There is clearly like, and I didn't mention this in my preview because I don't think it's that big of a deal, but there is an element where if you were trying to climb up something, you really should go with Naue, because Yasuke is a giant samurai with tons of armor on and he's not good at climbing. But you can if you need to. Like if you're in a pinch, you can probably get something done. He can do what he needs to do. But there are points in the game where like exploration will be easier with Naue. Assassin missions, you can do any mission any way you want, but missions that feel more inclined to be stealthy, you're going to want to go with Naue. So they kind of push you to experiment and stuff, but you don't have to do anything. And then throughout missions, I thought it was cool that you can actually switch at certain points. Like if you play half as Yasuke and you want to switch to Naue, there's a prompt that pops up where there'll be like a story moment of, let's say that there's like a brief conversation and then they say, oh, we got to go after this guy. Then there'll be a little narrative that pops up of, do you want to play as Yasuke or do you want to continue as Naue? And so then you can choose however you want to go and go forth and do your thing. So not forced, but there are specific points that are going to be easier with one or the other.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. We had a question from Rick Davis in the chat. Says, Sam, something I was confused about from other previews. I know each character has 3 weapon types. Are they all equipped at once or what?
I was actually typing back to Rick Davis too. I could have sworn Brotherhood had multiplayer. I feel like it had multiplayer, but Unity also had multiplayer. I don't know either way. I feel like Brotherhood is the one they introduced multiplayer in, because that was the whole thing. Anyways, I don't want to get semantics about it. Yes, so there are different weapon types for each thing. I need to go back and see the Yasuke gameplay that I recorded, because I believe that. Okay, so the way that it works for Naue is you've got 2 different weapons you can switch between. So you've got you have 2 swords, or you've got your chain thing you swing around, and it's got a little bit more of a radius to it. And it's got like a whatever you call it on the end, pointy spear. So you can switch back and forth between those at will. Whenever I was poking around in the menu, which I wanted to spend more time on the gameplay, not focusing on like going through the menus and stuff, but it seems like you can equip 2 of those weapons to be main weapons for Nawe during combat, and then you've also got your ranged weapon as well. For Yasuke, I poked around in there for like maybe a minute because I wanted to get back to like the missions in hand and stuff. But it looks like you can only equip 1 weapon for him. Now you can switch back and forth in the menu, but I don't think he can like pull out a different thing mid combat. I could be wrong on that, but that's just like I switched back and forth with Nawe, only used a couple of different weapons with Yasuke, and I had to go in and change them to experiment around and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of how that works. At least the time that I spent with it, that's what I got.
Okay. All right. So they obviously delayed the game a month, and this is a preview build, but they said they'd delay it for polish. How did it feel when you were playing? Like, did it feel like a game that was ready to ship? Was it? Did you encounter any bugs? I don't know if you could even say any of that, but
So we can't like. I don't want to focus on because it was an early build of the game
for sure, yeah.
And I think that the parkour has been greatly improved based on what they've said.
Okay.
And, you know, the way that I've kind of run through the world and run over stuff, you've got that classic setup of like run and hold A to go up, run and hold B to go down. So the parkour is that fluid approach that they've had before. Now, like, were there times during the gameplay where like I'm in combat swinging around and like the camera will do like a weird thing, not like clipping through anything, but it's like, you know, you've got little things like that. That's an early build.
For sure.
So I'm curious how it pans out whenever things actually do get polished up. But I do think that additional time to polish up is already very evident. I mean, going through the gameplay, like it looks better than any of the past Assassin's Creed games that I played. And I thought Valhalla was a beautiful Assassin's Creed game. But I thought the world was great. We've seen I want to say it was Stephen Totillo that like slashed through bamboo and you see how the bamboo fall. And he's like, this is how good this looks. I didn't realize that kind of detail was included in the game. So I'm just in combat over here slinging through bushes and stuff. And so then like all the leaves start falling off with my slice, not like a pre-rendered, I hit the bush, all the leaves fall off. Like it literally follows the path of my sword through it. Now I saw that the reports say that the parkour is specifically what the delay was over, so the parkour could feel more natural. Climbing up and down stuff, I do think that they had more to do with this game because Nawe has this grappling hook, so that kind of takes away from something like I would say Assassin's Creed. I guess it would it have been Unity, or which one am I thinking about? It must have been Unity. The one that they always talk about had like the best parkour where it looked very natural when they're running through routes. They've got kind of like predestined routes that you run through a city where you go up and down based on like crates and ropes and stuff that are swinging around. But it feels like it's a little bit more open-ended where if you want to get some elevation, you can get some elevation real quick. So I think they had more to kind of hone in on there. So I think that could probably take some more time, but it feels great. I think that they've improved it a lot over the past couple of months based on what we had seen in previous gameplay stuff. So I'm optimistic about it.
Awesome. I do have some comments from the chat here. Rick Davis says, I'm sorry, you're right. Brotherhood did introduce multiplayer. I thought Revelations did. So
no, back in the day, I remember playing Brotherhood, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to stick around. And then also, Luke is in the chat now. He said Yasuke can have 2 weapons, so I was wrong on that. I just didn't toy around with him that much. But yeah, so we got a correction.
Rick also wanted to know if the preview let you experience how the world changes through seasons.
No, so I only saw day and night cycles. That's all that I saw, and it was also very dark. It was real dark, and they couldn't change. Like you can't change it because of the way that things are done. So I had to turn up the monitor a little bit. But I didn't want to during my preview, I didn't want to do like color correction and stuff. And then like
time,
well not only boost my time, but I didn't want to like mislead people, and then this game launches and it's like one of the biggest criticisms is it's super dark, and they're like, why wasn't it in your gameplay? So I left it raw. Like everything in my video is the captured gameplay, but it was real dark for me.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like it's shaping up pretty well. I know there's other previews out there that have been pretty positive about it as well. So that's awesome. It's always cool when you get super sweet opportunities like that.
Very grateful. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everyone, if you have more questions, I will direct you to JamPackSam's YouTube channel. You can comment under his video, letting him know that he's a paid shill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw you liked my Blue Sky post.
Yeah, it was so fun. I was like,
it was weird because Instagram is typically pretty tame, but I got all of my hate this time around on Instagram, and so they were going through and they were like paid yapper, and I was like unpaid yapper, unpaid yapper. I do yap. but I'm not paid yet. Yeah, people are crazy, man. Anytime you get a preview opportunity, they just don't believe any kind of positivity. So, but
Ubisoft paid everyone. You don't like everyone got paid.
I think they're, I don't even know if they got the money to pay, brother. Like
they're trying to sell the company.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Nah, but it's always funny. I've just gotten used to it at this point. I just have fun with them.
All right. Well, we do have some questions about Assassin's Creed. I'll start with Ghostly Guides, who wrote in and says, if Assassin's Creed Shadows doesn't hit, is Ubisoft done?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're done. I do think that I don't think that Shadows is going to be the make or break either way. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we've seen the comments from Yeez, we've seen the comments from the Ubisoft themselves have provided as a company. I think whether this sells or not, and what I mean is whether Assassin's Creed sells well or not, I think that's just going to boost or lower the price of the company whenever they inevitably get acquired by somebody else or have a shared partnership or spin off the IP or whatever they end up doing. I don't think it's going to be a make or break. I just think it's going to change the outcome of how much somebody has to throw down to get involved in that whole thing.
I know I mentioned to you prior to us going live, but I was talking about, I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, what other games is Ubisoft releasing this year besides Assassin's Creed Shadows? And my first thought is like, well, obviously they want to see how well Shadows does, like how well it's critically received, commercially received. And then I went to, well, they probably haven't announced anything because they want to keep that close to the chest for those discussions behind the scenes. Like, hey, we have all these games coming out that raises our price. If you want to invest, if you want to buy us, if you want to, however they're going to go, right? Like, that is where my thinking is. So again, I don't know if Assassin's Creed Shadow is the end all be all. It does feel like there's a lot of weight on it. I don't know if Ubisoft themselves has put that much weight on it, or if that's more of the fans who see the crisis from the outside. But I don't think Ubisoft's going away. It's just they're going to look different in the future for sure.
And for what it's worth, I mean, not that this is the end all be all of like what you need to look at, but going to their coming soon landing page on the Ubisoft store, you've got a new hero coming to For Honor, which is DLC for $8, Anno 117 Pax Romana, which I always forget is a game that exists. And then you have Assassin's Creed Shadows and Assassin's Creed Shadows Digital Deluxe Edition. Those are the 4 items on their coming soon screen. So I don't know, maybe they just don't update this. I mean, I'm going through like Games Radar has an article, but I just looking at that, that's a lot riding on one thing. And then going through even going through the Games Radar article is very concerning, quite frankly, because like you've got Shadows. They include the Animus Hub here, which is the like hub for Assassin's Creed. They have Anno as well. And then you've got like the mobile Assassin's Creed game. Tom Clancy's The Division Resurgence, which I'm pretty sure is canceled. I'm like 95% sure that got canceled. And then Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake, which God only knows when that eventually comes out.
Splinter Cell remake too. Yeah,
that is also happening.
At some point, maybe.
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2, obviously still happening.
Just keep listing all the games. They're definitely coming.
Ooh, boy, I just thought that's Outlaw's second expansion is coming in the spring. It's just it's such a difficult position for them to be in because like I don't think there's any new Avatar content coming. I think they only got 2 expansions for that. Yeah, I think they wrapped that up. So you've got clearly the Outlaw stuff, but like, is that going to put any dent on the? You know what I mean? Like, is that going to move the needle for them
in the spring after the developer direct I just witnessed? Nah, nobody's going to be paying attention to the second. And I say this as someone that if you watched my Star Wars video, people. I really liked Outlaws. Those updates made it a very good and fun game to play.
Yeah, that's what's the shame with stuff like Outlaws, and that I think is kind of the running issue with Ubisoft games is that it's not that they're bad, it's just that the industry has gotten so good. You know what I mean? Where it's like looking at the slate. I always try to do my previews and my reviews looking at the product that's presented. Like we get a game, I judge the game. I don't want external factors to influence my perception of the game because I'm judging a singular product. The reality is that games don't exist in a bubble. So no matter how good I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is right now, the public is going to compare that to Ghost of Yotei. And when you compare what Shadows is to what Ghost of Yotei potentially could be, that's going to make for some very interesting conversations online. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm excited to see how the public reacts to these two things that are kind of inevitably going to go head to head, because they can both be independently good in their own way, but that's not how the public discourse works right now. And that's super unfortunate That's what I hate, is that
Mhm.
there isn't going to be like a mutual respect for things if things don't go the way that somebody
Oh,
expects them
yeah,
to
it'll be
go.
this one's bad, this one's good.
Right. And it's like it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, but people don't think in terms of everybody can win at something. So it's just going to be a really interesting conversation to have with that. So I'm excited
Well
to see that.
well, I see that with, games that aren't even similar, like Star Wars Outlaws gets go, "Well, it's no Fallen Order." I'm like, "They're not even trying to be the
Yeah.
same game."
Yeah, and I, like I'm not trying to dunk on people or anything, but it's like there's a lack of critical thinking in the gaming
Oh,
community a lot of the
you
time,
don't say.
Like I always try to be optimistic, that's kind of like a hallmark of my content is like everybody always asks why I don't talk like, I'll cover negative news like Concord shutting down and stuff, but like I don't talk about negative things because why am I going to waste my time making a video on something that I hate? Like I don't make hate content. I make like content. I make good content, like happy content. So I approach it that way. There's hate is what gets money. Hate's what gets you the Twitter payout if you're a premium subscriber. And so it's always going to thrive in that way, unfortunately.
I
Um,
I had the
yeah.
idea for a social experiment where I make one of those like thumbnails and titles that like all the grifting YouTube channels, and then just like when people get in, you just be really positive and like
Yeah.
just gotcha. Now I'm gonna talk like nice about everything.
Yeah. That way. Yeah. I'm sure that comment section would be beautiful.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Chipotle Bear, friend of the show over at the Nerd Chat, wrote in and says, "I know we already know about Assassin's Creed Jade and Hex as well as Shadows. However, if you had control, where would you like to see Assassin's Creed go next? What setting, time period, format, aka VR, portable, normal,
Oh,
etc."
man, that's such a big loaded question. I mean,
Yeah.
where haven't we been that would be interesting? You know what I mean? Like I feel like my gut goes to like somewhere in Russia. Like I feel like a Russian
I
Assassin's
think they
Creed would
did
be
a
interesting.
Russia Assassin's Creed. Like, there's like these weird little like there's one like China and
Oh,
India, I
I don't
think.
count the
And
side
like,
scrollers. I
okay,
don't.
okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna say I think they have a Russian one,
yeah. No, what they did have that. I'm talking about like a real
a
deal
real
Assassin's
one. All
Creed.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be so cool to go back to like the like which I don't know if they want to touch Russian Assassin's Creed in the current state of the world, but going back to where it's like I forget what the guys Lenin, like the Lenin era of Russia,
Mhm.
and then like be able to climb the Kremlin and stuff back. Like I just feel like there are cool things you could do with that. So I'd probably want that. If anything, what I hope they do is remake the original Assassin's Creed and like kind of do what they did with Mirage, where it's like a modernized, authentic take on old school stuff. Like I would love to relive that Altair timeline again. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no idea how to answer this Chipotle Bear because I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy. This
You said
Mexico,
away.
Mexico, yeah, away from here. All right.
Mexico would be cool, like an Aztec Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
neat. Yeah.
yeah. Just jumping on the ruins.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Sure.
My other my other joke was Iraq, Afghanistan, circa 2000.
I don't think that would work. I
Yeah,
don't think that would work.
that one might get a little controversial, but
It very well could. Call of Duty has been down that road before. I don't think Assassin's Creed can weather that storm.
yeah, well, we'll find out coming next year. All right, let's get into our last bit of news. I almost forgot this even happened this week because of the developer directing Assassin's Creed, but we actually had a Game Pass drop that was quite substantial. So available right now, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders for cloud, PC, and Xbox Series consoles for Ultimate and PC Game Pass members. Flock comes to console for the standard tier. Gigantic Rampage Edition for cloud, console, and PC for every tier. Kinitsugami Path of the Goddess for consoles now on the standard tier. Magical Delicacy for consoles now on the standard tier. Chichia for Xbox Series consoles is at the standard tier, as well as the Case of the Golden Idol. And Starbound is available for cloud and console for Ultimate and Standard. June, yeah, January 28th, you get Eternal Strands for cloud, console, and PC for Ultimate and PC Game Pass members. You also get Orcs Must Die Death Traps, which I feel like we just had Orcs Must Die 3. So I don't know what this game is, but that's coming to cloud, PC, and series consoles for Ultimate PC Game Pass members. January 29th, you get Shady Part of Me for cloud, console, PC for all tiers. January 30th, you get Sniper Elite Resistance. That's a day one drop as well for cloud, console, PC for Ultimate PC members. January 31st, you get Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector for cloud, PC, and Xbox Series for the Ultimate PC tier. And then February 4th, you got Far Cry New Dawn for cloud, console, PC at all tiers. That's a lot of games.
That is a whole lot of games. And I was, as you were reading it, I was like, do you think that people that just have all these different subscriptions, do you think they're like, you know what, I'm just going to log on and see what I got? Like, yeah, how do you navigate all of this? But there is a lot of good stuff here. It's cool to see Kunitsugami getting added to the standard tier, because I think that that's one of the reasons I love Game Pass, is that it lets the smaller games thrive. And that's one I need to go back and play still. It's on my list as I waste time on Gotham Knights. Luke, you didn't hear that. You're not in the chat right now. But Citizen Sleeper 2 is one that I've got my eyes on, because I said a couple of weeks ago I was playing Citizen Sleeper a little bit on my PC, and it's such a good vibe of a game. Definitely not for everyone. Probably not even for me, but I enjoy it. You know, you wouldn't think it's my kind of game, but I like the relaxed approach there. And then I've never played Far Cry New Dawn. So I do want to go back and play that one, because I love Far Cry 4. And the post-apocalyptic, post-nuke version of that always appealed to me. Also, they had a banger map in X Defiant, RIP. I'll miss you ever. But yeah, solid little Game Pass drop here. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a good. I was critical the last while actually, but I think this is a very good list, especially when you add in the Ninja Gaiden Black that just dropped today, right? So you have a couple of day one games on here. So you got Eternal Strands, Orcs Must Die. I don't know if Shady Part of Me is. I know Sniper Elite and Citizen Sleeper. So like a bunch of new games, different genres, indie AA type games. And then you have a bunch of games going to the standard tier, which I still think they should just do 2 graphics, because it gets way too much. But like, I'm hearing people having fun with this Lonely Mountain game. I think it's a good drop overall. Again, especially when you add in Ninja Gaiden, which is my main thing that I'll be playing. But I can say, and I can't tell you what game, but we will have a review dropping for one of these day one games on the channel. So stay tuned for that.
Very cool. Yeah, Rick called me out. I did mean 5 when I said Far Cry 5 or Far Cry 4. 4 was the one with the dude in like Shangri-La and stuff, or whatever that section of the you know what I mean, Nepal. So yes, I was wrong. New Dawn is associated with 5. So yes, and also 5 is a great game.
Yes, absolutely. Well, everyone look forward to those Game Pass drops, because you got some good stuff coming. But that is it for our show today. Everyone, thank you for hanging out in the chat with us. As always, you give us the energy to do this. But it's been a good week for Xbox. Sam, want everyone know where they can find you, my friend, before we get on out of here?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok. While it lasts, we had them up. We were gone for a minute. We were gone for a couple hours. We were gone for a couple hours, and we came back, and I was really glad we came back. But we could go away again. I don't know, but I'm everywhere. You know, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those fun places. YouTube, obviously. And I do want to give a shout out to the chat. You know, like I come here every week. We've always got smart, intelligent, awesome people here that are like not only engaged and enjoy the show, but they're part of the conversation and can correct me when I'm inevitably wrong about a ton of things, which is always really nice to have. And you know, I just love the passion within this community. So I just appreciate you guys. You know, I'm looking at the chat right now because we're making eye contact. You don't know it, but we're making eye contact right now. So I appreciate that. But you can always find me here whenever we have a show, which is obviously every Thursday, unless somebody's under the weather, but never again, right, Kevin?
Never again. That's right. I'm pumping vitamin C and zinc and whatever else you need to throw in your body. All right.
Of course, yes.
Oh, shout out Todd Oxford, who just showed up. Sorry, buddy. But you got a nice VOD to keep you company.
Do have a great VOD.
Yeah. You can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's a 1-7I, 0-7A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky, which is really where I'm posting most things these days to stay up to date with all our latest content. Until next week, we will see you.